It's a brand new day.
Oh, hello. Hi, Tyler. How are you?
How
Coming
are
in.
you? I recognize you, Tabitha.
You do? Oh, my gosh. I was hoping you wouldn't.
Oh, it's so wonderful to meet you. How are you?
My name is Tabatha Coffey, and Tyler might recognise me from my Bravo TV show Tabatha Takes Over, where I go into failing hairdressing salons and take them over and turn their businesses around.
Well, I've never done a reading in a salon before, so this is kind of unique. Where are we?
This is my friend Eden Sassoon's salon.
Nice.
And Eden's father was Fidel Sassoon. So it means a lot for me to be here with you in a friend's salon, and because her father is not just an icon in my industry, but also, to me personally, one of the biggest mentors of my life. I would say I'm a total believer if it's the right person. And I truly think Tyler has been given this amazing gift. I don't quite understand it, but I'm really excited to get to know more about it.
My goal is really just to try to provide specific details, and no matter what a client comes wanting to know about, my goal is just to leave the person better than I found them.
I've got a little anxiety. Oh, people would love to see me squirm, but they better not get used to it, just for Tyler.
Okay, perfect. So immediately, I want to go to your mom's side of family. I do feel like I have to kind of tune in on that direction. I've got the 3 women. Okay, give me 1 sec. Give me 1 minute. Victoria. That's random. Okay. I just have to kind of get this out. There's a very distinct reference to a V name that I have to highlight. This is really weird, and V names aren't very common. So generally, typically, I'm looking at like Victoria or something along those lines. They're having me bring this up, but I don't know if this is necessarily the name of a person as much as this could be referencing to something else. But it's V, and I'm saying it very strongly.
My mother's side of her family all come from Victoria in Australia.
Awesome, perfect. Because it didn't really, I don't know if this felt like a name as much as feels more like a place. Okay. This is a weird situation. Someone had a pet monkey. But it's like a funny thing of like, why do we have a monkey? I wish you could see what I'm saying in my head right now.
So do I.
And the feeling is like, I don't know if this monkey's living environment, the feeling is this monkey's taking over. This is like a weird situation of a joke where this monkey is living in like conditions where we would expect to see human beings. What is this? Why am I saying this?
I know someone, or a friend of my mother's, when I was a child, had a pet monkey that she would take everywhere, like other people take their puppies.
Right.
And sometimes she'd put the monkey down her shirt to hide it, and his arm would come out when we went places, like come out and grab things. But he had his own bedroom and everything.
Wow, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's
he had a playroom.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm glad that made sense because that was ridiculous. Okay, well that's validation. So yeah, sometimes I'll find they'll bring up random things. I'm like, it's so funny. Okay, that's quite the visual. All right, I'm like, okay.
Tyler, what are you saying?
The monkey went away, and now I'm seeing Catholic, and I'm seeing a Catholic school, and I'm seeing like the whole thing. But the joke is about a nunnery. And there's a situation where I don't know if we're gonna like ship someone to the nunnery, or there's a joke about someone being a nun.
I understand it.
Okay, good. So random. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, I kind of feel like Tyler walked in and all of a sudden there were just all these things coming to him. And it was nice to hear the things that Tyler was saying, even if they made no sense to him, about monkeys and Catholics, and all made total sense to me. And it was definitely my mother, and you could feel her energy and her spirit and her personality, and it was nice to feel that again. Is she noisy up there like she was down here?
Oh, yes. It all comes through in a very funny, very, like, wanting to make other people laugh, wanting to make other people smile, being a little ornery. No matter how much she aged, she never let go of that feistiness to some extent, and that's really special. And that's a trait that she honestly thinks she's not that different from you with, so.
Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far.
And she's bringing up a situation, and she's talking about her health care, and there's a feeling of an appreciation for being able to be there and taking care of her or doing things that traditionally we would be viewing as like hospice is doing. And the feeling is, thank you for doing these things because you didn't have to, but you did anyway. And there's this feeling of it's so much more personal when it's being done from someone that I know and that I care about. And there's this feeling of knowing that this is a responsibility that a lot of people wouldn't initially jump on. And there's a feeling of like, I know how hard it was to have to see me in the state and be there for me, but thank you for being able to actually be there. And there's a feeling of when some of the men in the family might have stepped back or not been able to kind of handle certain situations, there's a feeling of appreciation. And she needs you to know that she went when she wanted to go and that she was okay with the time that she did. She actually is acknowledging the last 24 hours of her life, and she brings up the fact that she should have gone 24 hours before, and she needs you to know. It's interesting the way this comes through, because from her perspective, she's saying, I should have gone the day before, but she held on for this last 24 hours for some reason to go. And this for her was a good thing. This isn't something that's sad. She comes across that this is giving closure. Does that make sense overall?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
My mother's name was Norma, and she passed away from colon cancer. And I took care of her when she got sick, so I was there when she passed away.
Right.
She waited for me to come home until she passed, and for 24 hours, I was on a 24-hour watch with her, taking care of her and giving her medicine every couple of hours for 24 hours.
She's proud of you in a whole other way for that alone and for being able to withstand that.
I had a good teacher.
Absolutely.
It was an honor to be able to do that and to do that for someone. And you always kind of wonder if, you know, they know that you're doing that.
On her end, there's a feeling of like, I have closure, I'm okay. She, though she might not physically be here, is still very present in your life, in your work. And there will be moments where I think you'll kind of hear her. And the feeling is like, I know exactly what Mom would do right now or what she would be saying.
Sometimes I don't want to.
Exactly. But that's her way of making that connection. And there's just this feeling of touching the hair. So please know that. I don't know why this is coming through in that way. But if you do have any instances where you feel this, know that that's your mom.
She was a hairdresser as well.
Oh, I see.
When my mother was young, she was a hairdresser.
Right.
And she would always yell at me if she didn't think my hair looked perfect. She would always be yelling at me and telling me, go and get a haircut or go and get my regrowth done or go and do something.
Right.
So
that's so funny.
maybe that's why.
This might be trivial, but I don't know. It feels very dangly. I feel like they don't typically bring up jewelry because it's something they don't prioritize on the other side, but this might have symbolic value. It's like one piece, and it seems oddly important. But...
Yeah, it goes back to the Catholic thing that you keep getting. We all went to Catholic school. My mother went to a very strict Catholic school, and everyone thought that she was going to be a nun, which is quite ridiculous if you knew her. She was the furthest thing from a nun.
Right.
But I have a rosary in my pocket. So that's the Catholic part.
That would be it.
I carry it everywhere with me because it has my mother's ashes in there, and I carry them everywhere I go. I wasn't sure where you were going with the Catholic thing for a second, and I honestly forgot that it was even in my pocket. I'm so used to carrying that rosary in my pocket that I forget it's there.
Yeah.
And then I just felt it and was like, oh, I think that's that dangly thing.
That's
there you
hilarious.
Go. My mother was really strong. She was an amazing woman. She started her career as a hairdresser, although I never knew her to be a hairdresser. She owned nightclubs when I was a kid growing up. My father left when I was really young, so my mother raised me as a single mother, and she was just probably the strongest person I knew. I was so scared because I wanted my mother to come through so badly.
Yeah.
And she's loud, and she makes me look like a pussycat with her language and her strength.
Well, thank you for today. This has been so fun.
It was so amazing to meet you.
I'm so
Thank you.
glad. Oh, you were the best.
There is just this sense of lightness. It's so incredibly cathartic, and it's so great to have that reassurance. And it's just so nice to feel the presence of the people that you want to connect with, and Tyler really brings that. So you leave feeling different, and I will definitely leave this experience feeling totally different to how I walked in. Wow. I'm actually gobsmacked. He's so incredibly sweet, and I don't know why I'm surprised by that, but just really, really sweet, and he was so accurate. My head's swimming, so I can't even imagine how he feels. It was really incredible, really amazing.
I'm Patty Stanger, the Millionaire Matchmaker.
A face I recognize. This is rare.
Okay, I am so excited to meet you. You come on in.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I'm really looking to make a connection with certain people that I was really close with, and I don't know how they're doing on the other side. I don't know what they think about me on Earth. I miss them. I guess that's the worst part. I don't get to call them and talk to them all the time, so I'm gonna start crying. It's like really wild that this is the one subject matter, man, I just lose it.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Me too.
Thank you for having me, Patty. I mean, it's rare that I recognize a client, so this is awesome.
This is like amazing. I can't believe you don't know who it is when the door opens.
Never.
That blows my mind.
They never tell me.
That blows my mind.
So basically what I'll do is I'll just scribble, I'll kind of get in my zone of meditation, and as I kind of go through this, my job is really just to deliver what I see, what I hear, and what I feel, and it's as basic as that. Usually I'll just kind of ramble all of what's coming through, lay it all out there for you, and then we'll go back and I'll ask you what makes sense, what doesn't connect, you know, so on and so forth. For me, I really like specific details, so usually an object will help to suit you. Do you have an object today?
Yes,
Perfect.
I have a bunch of objects right there.
I am feeling guided to actually pick this up, if you don't mind. So I'm gonna
Oh.
hold on to this,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna scribble and we'll just see what comes out, all right? Perfect. Okay. Let me figure this out. I'm seeing gold, 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 but she's having me acknowledge this. It's a way of trying to have me say something. Someone lives on Gold Street, if someone has gold in their name, if someone has,
Oh, yes. My mom is Rhoda Goldstein.
Really? Okay. Do you know who the woman was who did the chain smoking?
My mother.
Okay. The way that this comes across, there's an acknowledgement of one's own behavioral habits that contributed to health issues, but I'm referencing to chain smoking in this way. Okay. If I'm going here, she's having me acknowledge this feeling of wanting to talk about her actual passing, and I'm going to kind of go with this because this is actually significant. Okay. She's bringing me to the last 6 months of her life, and she's really emphasizing this time frame really, really strongly. She's referring to cancer. On her end, she acknowledges this feeling of what looks like a diagnosis, and then I feel actually that things are looking up. I actually feel like I'm gonna kick this cancer's ass, I'm gonna nail it, like I'm gonna be fine. And she actually, like, strangely acknowledges that she feels like she and I know this might not make any sense, but she feels like she beat it, but then I feel like I get it again, and I feel like I'm just, I feel like it comes back, and there's nothing I can do.
You're 100% right.
But
she went through a period where there was like a remission for a six-second hiccup, and then it came right back as a thunderbolt because of, you know, radiation and chemo and all that.
Oh, her poor hands. Did she bruise easily? I don't know what this is. She's like showing me all these bruises, and her, like...
She was spray out, and she had bruises all over her body.
You could see her veins, like, really, really, like, apparently, like, she's showing me, I look down and it's almost like paper thin.
The disease wreaked havoc on her body.
And that, so it was not her, because she's, like, such a...
No, she's got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
She was like my best friend. We used to talk every day on the phone together. I mean, we had this thing, we'd watch the Academy Awards every year together and be fashion police, just us girls. And I don't get to do any of those fun things with her anymore, go shopping or eat lunch or just hang out and talk. And I can't call on my mother and ask her for advice when I'm in trouble with, you know, with boys and stuff like that. So that was heavy, that he, you know, kind of conveyed all that. Yeah.
she's acknowledging not wanting to cooperate, and this is kind of interesting in the way this comes across. And she is having me acknowledge that for a period of time, she was actually holding on and waiting. And there was a period where she had waited for someone to actually be able to come and, like,
That was
say
me.
goodbye. The feeling is she wants you to know, I was holding on, I was holding on, I was holding on, because a phone call wasn't going to cut it. And having that phone held to the ear wasn't going to cut it. It's like, I need to see you. So she held on. Wow. She's referencing to the last 2 days of her life for some reason. She refers to like extending the duration just so that she can see you. And there's a feeling of, like, knowing. And she is, oh, so sweet. She brings up that it was peaceful for her to transition because she knew that she wasn't awake when she died. And the feeling is, I'm glad about this, and I'm rejecting any of that life support nonsense. That's the way she kind of puts this.
She went in her sleep, and she wanted to go in her sleep.
And that was her preference. It's like, she didn't want people to have to be her, and she's like, I had my closure. I had my goodbye. And then I went on my own terms.
My mom died like a horrific cancerous death. I don't wish that on anyone. And it brought back memories. I couldn't always be there. She lived in Florida. She waited till I got to Florida to say goodbye, and then she passed. Exactly the way he said it. Like, that like brings tears to my eyes because, you know, I don't get to call her anymore. I don't get to pick up the phone and say that I love you.
This is kind of strange. Okay, what would this be? Family member. That's so weird. There's another situation within your family, if I'm interpreting this correctly. Do you have a biological mom that's passed?
I have a biological mom and a adoptive mom who passed.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, my biological mother, there was a secret around my adoption.
Okay.
And my mother, Rhoda, the one that we're referring to, Rhoda basically would never tell me the truth about my adoption. And she died not wanting me ever to know about my biological mother. Like, what's the secret that she was holding on to? That's what I can't figure out. I spent a long time searching on this, hiring private investigators, doing my own homework. I really couldn't ever figure out why was she afraid to allow me to know that family and what happened.
Right. To be honest, when I'm connecting to biological mom's energy, there is an acknowledgement when I'm going to the brain and mental of what indicates maybe an undiagnosed mental disorder. If we have a parent who, for example, is a paranoid schizophrenic, and I'm not saying that's necessarily the case, but if we have a parent who is, to tell their child, hey, your mom was a paranoid schizophrenic, can scare the out of that child. Because that child will think, oh my God, what age am I going to develop paranoid schizophrenia? At what age is it going to happen to me? When am I going to be like my mom? The feeling is basically not wanting to expose you to this individual. I hate to put this, there could have been some genetic factors when it comes to mental illness within family on your mom's side that maybe we didn't want everyone to fully know about.
So she's protecting me, is what you're saying.
From her perspective, she views it as her protecting you. No matter how that was received on your end, the feeling is like I was protecting her because I knew that her mom was a lot worse mentally in what she had to go through than she even fully was aware of.
I never looked at it like Rhoda, my adoptive mom, was protecting me from my bio mom. Maybe that was really the secret. Maybe she had mental, illness. So I never looked at it like that. I mean, that was some closure I got from Tyler. That was amazing.
Are there any areas of your personal life that you're curious about, just so I can know without getting too specific?
Okay, so I know you think I'm the greatest matchmaker that lived, okay? But I need some advice in my love life. Sure. I'm single now, and I really want to get married. I really want to end this lifetime with the soulmate. Right. A life partner, if you will. And it's so hard to come home at the end of the day after you help so many people, and it's kind of lonely, solitary, monkish life without it. It's like, yes, I can date, but I'm not finding somebody who's compatible, let alone spiritual, and,
For sure, I'll just kind of fill out if we can see anything there. Okay, we got that there. Well, what I would say, okay, so, the thing is that you run the risk in your relationships of dealing with a lot of imbalance. Good to keep in mind in future relationships, you just might attract people who expect you to do all the finances, have all the money.
Thank you, financial issue. I have a financial issue.
People are gonna see, a sugar mama in the way this comes through. So know that in the way that this connects.
I'm not doing it ever, 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 ever again. You can slap my wrist right now.
Absolutely, yep,
okay?
not happening. I do have to mention, What I will say is I definitely do not see you alone in the long term.
Oh my God, can I take the tissue box now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's gonna be fine.
Okay.
What I will say is I'm referring over the next 2 years. I'm seeing soulmate, soulmate, soulmate. And it keeps coming through soulmate, soulmate, soulmate. But this will basically be a man who has definitely had a solid career, a solid kind of financial stability. And you know, it's interesting. You will end up being like a mom and like two kids. This is so interesting. Oh my God, I'm excited to see this pan out. You're gonna be like a mom to 2 kids. Now, I full disclosure, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I see you for a little boy and a little girl, to acknowledge these both. You're gonna be there for them, and they're gonna look up to you in the way that children would look up to a mom. And it comes through in a very sweet way. It's not a biological, you know, child connection, but there's very much, like, they have the love they would have for a mother, but like for you. But it's not necessarily like your own biological children. So it's really special in that way. It's like being able to have that without having to biologically go through the process of doing that.
Seems empty without kids.
Oh, yeah.
Feels empty to me.
It does. And yeah, there's these 2 beautiful little children you were totally going to watch over.
It's been a rough ride, so I'm like glad that you said that, to be honest with you.
Absolutely incredible. You're I love it. And please know your mom's with you every step of the way.
I love that Tyler said there's a guy coming in. And the fact that he said that you will be a stepmother, there will be a boy and a girl, was the most exciting thing I ever heard, because that to me is really what I feel like I was born to be on earth. I felt like not just a wife, I want to be a mother.
Awesome.
Oh my God, thank you so much. There's a peace that came with this. I'm okay. It's gonna be all okay. You know, like my mom came through, she's okay, she's on the other side, and I'm okay. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna find true love, I'm gonna have kids, and that's all that I cared about. Okay?
You know it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, give love to your mom.
All right, will do. Bye. See ya.
I just know that Tyler is gifted, and he has the most beautiful heart I've ever seen. That's all that matters, and I'm at peace. Lots to process, but who cares? I'm getting love. You can believe that.
I read Patty Stanger. I feel like I literally yesterday was just saying, I'm gonna read Patty Stanger. Of course, naturally, that's how it always works.